For this tier list, we have Zyra coming out very soon. She is really good in the mid lane, jungle and support. On top of that, we have the Sona rework, and if you guys like this, then definitely stay tuned. That's the intro. Hey, what's up guys, Darkbreaker here in today's video with the tier list for patch 4.4C. What do we have? We have the Sona rework, we have Zyra, the new champion, getting released pretty soon, and I have tested her out a few times on the test server already, so I'm gonna give you guys my prediction or my feeling on where I think she's gonna be for the mid lane, for the jungle even. She's viable in the jungle and also as a support. On top of that, we have a few changes for these following champions, and also item buffs for Solaris Chargeblade. So if you guys are interested about hearing my opinion and my prediction about those changes and how they're gonna affect the meta, then definitely make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And we will start with the Baron lane, then jungle, mid lane, ADC, and finally support. And I'm gonna give you my opinion about how good I think each of those champions are for their position. So let's get started, guys. Remember, it's my personal opinion, so it's subjective, but yeah, it's just an orientation for you guys. So for the Baron lane, pick of the patch is definitely still gonna be Aatrox. This champion is absolutely broken. I don't want to hear any discussion. This champion is disgusting. The other day I was playing against Aatrox. He was running Duskblade Trinity. And he was just one-shotting everyone, and he still didn't die because he had so much sustain. So yeah, this champion has a lot of sustain, he's very tanky, has really good damage as well on top of that, and crowd control. Now Akali is one of the best assassins in the game. I wonder, did I put the mid lane? Yes, okay. She is one of the best assassins in the game, really good in the 1v1 as well, and very good to assassinate squishy champions. Now we have Gwen. Gwen received the buff on top of her already being a very strong champion. In the early game, she is maybe not the strongest champion, but in the late game, she's one of the most dominant mages. Did I put okay? I was just thinking that I put the camera on the top right and just making sure I do it correctly. Anyways, next one's gonna be Darius. What are his strengths? He is very beefy. My man is a beefy boy. He has true damage. He has damage over time. He has a lot of sustain. He has the ultimate to execute people, like with a reset mechanic. Now we have Camille. Camille's advantages are that she is a very mobile champion thanks to her hookshot. She has the second ability in the early game providing her with a lot of poking damage, first ability giving her true damage, and ultimate for catch potential. She's an excellent split pusher. Garen is a super tanky and easy to play champion that does a lot of damage while being super tanky. Gregor's a very versatile champion. Either you run him AP or you run him tank. As AP, he has really good playmaking and burst damage, and as a tanky champion, he provides a lot of crowd control in those team fights, while still being strong in the 1v1. Jack, similar to Camille, one of the best split pushers in the game, and he's probably the champion that if you leave him alone, he's just gonna take your entire base. Yone received a massive buff for the laning phase, or for Baron lane especially, because they buffed the base armor from 35 to 40. On top of that, they buffed the second ability and they buffed Solaris Chargeblade. So with all of these changes, Yone becoming in the lane super strong, while they did nerf his jungle clear speed in the jungle. Next one is gonna be Vladimir. Vladimir is just a sustain monster in the late game that does way too much damage. On heavy crowd control tank monster, is strong in the 1v1 as well. Following the S tier, we have Renekton. I just feel like Renekton, even though they just keep buffing him, it's just not enough for him to be like, wow, I need to ban him. He's a champion. I hate to play against him. I mean, I kind of do hate to play against him, but he's not a champion where like, okay, we have to ban this champion because he's too broken. He's a very strong early game champion and mid game champion with a lot of sustain, a really good burst damage, and being tanky while having good mobility, but he falls off in the late game, and that's the issue and the downside of Renekton in my opinion. Next one, we have Mr. Wukong. Wukong providing a lot of crowd control in team fights thanks to his ultimate. Then he has a lot of sustain as well. Overall, great in team fights and also great in the 1v1. Next one, Yasuo. Tank Yasuo is super strong, but I just feel like he's very scaling and kind of team comp reliant, so that's why S tier. Riven. I got memed the other day when I was streaming. What do I always say? Oh, I always say high mobility, high burst damage for Riven. Okay, next one is gonna be Fiora. Excellent split pusher, excellent duelist, and really good in the early game. Strong in the late game as well, but weak in team fights. Dr. Mundo is an excellent frontliner that has a lot of sustain. And in the 1v1, he's just very beefy and hard to kill. Jay is one of the strongest laning champions. So in the laning phase, he's really good thanks to his range advantage. Then he has really good poking damage as well in the mid game, but he kind of falls off in the super late game against other champions. Aurel is a champion that you need really good fingers. You need fast fingers, guys. You need those fast fingers because she's mechanically not the easiest champion to play, and she has like a high skill ceiling, and you need to know all those matchups. But if you're proficient on Aurelia, she's definitely a champion that can rival most other champion in the 1v1. I don't think she has like a champion where I'm like, wow, that's the giga hard matchup. It's impossible. To be fair, champions like Jax are kind of hard, but I think it's still doable. Anyways, next one's gonna be Zed. Zed is a juggernaut that provides a lot of crowd control in teamfights, really good playmaking, and is tanky as well, while still being a great frontliner. But he doesn't have that super hard carry, hyper, 1 versus 9, potential. I'm not necessarily others as well, but I just feel like they have a better chance at carrying, or like better win conditions. Better win conditions, that's what we call it. Next one's gonna be Malphite. Malphite is one of the best counters against champions that have physical damage. He's really good in teamfights as well, thanks to his ultimate, but he gets countered by split pushers that run Divine, Sandra, Darkbreaker, or that have true damage. So Gwen, for example, counters him. Camille and Jax late game also counter him. They will consistently push you in that you can't rotate to the team fights, and you're just getting outscaled. What can you do? Nothing. Next one is gonna be Sion. Sion is a great tank with really good crowd control that can use as a split pusher or as a team fight orientated tank. Very similar to Shen. Shen obviously with your ultimate can be used as a split pusher, keep split pushing and then using the ultimate to join team fights. The global ultimate is obviously very useful to help in those team fights out, for Dragon, for Baron, or helping your jungler out. On top of that, he has the taunt as his playmaking tool, and even in the 1v1 with the Divine Sandra, he's still doing fine against a lot of champions, so therefore he's S tier. Next one on the list is gonna be Akshan. We are now in the A tier. Akshan, one of the strongest lane bullies in the game, but he kind of falls off against a few champions in the 1v1 when they reach the level 5, plus he's vulnerable to enemy ganks. Then we have Diana. Diana, in my opinion, in the jungle lane and the mid lane, she is so broken, but I think in the Baron lane, she has a lot of hard matchups where she most likely won't win against them 1v1, but obviously she's still an amazing assassin in team fights. Jarvan, kind of similar, that he doesn't really win hard against some champions or can't beat them in the 1v1, but he's really good in team fights thanks to his crowd control and thanks to his tankiness. Pantheon, very lane dominant champion, requires snowballing, but when he falls or falls behind in the mid game, he becomes kinda useless. Teemo! Teemo in Diamond Plus, one of the highest win rates in the game, but it's because it's Diamond Plus. I feel like Teemo is After level 5, he is easy to punish. He has a very strong early game, right? You freeze the opponents, you harass them, but at the same time, he's a squishy champion that is easy to punish by the enemy jungler. On top of that, a lot of champions, once they get like the ultimate, level 8 or something, they will start beating up Teemo and he won't win against them 1 versus 1. That's definitely a problem. But yeah, in the late game with the shrooms, really good, obviously. And now we have Urgot. This champion is pretty strong in the early game, kind of falls a little bit after level 5, but when he has his passive maxed up, he's really good against other tanky champions, and obviously in team fights, he is a tanky champion with really good playmaking potential. Cannon actually has really good win rates in mid lane and in top lane for Diamond Plus. Why? Obviously, his early game is really strong in the laning phase, because he has the range advantage against melee champions, but level 5 plus, between level 5 and let's say anything after, a lot of champions are winning 1 vs 1 and Cannon struggled to hold the lane against those champions. Then, what makes him so good is obviously his ultimate in team fights. He has really good ultimate in team fights. Let me mute you real quick. So that's why I think obviously Cannon, champions that are easy to play and have like insane ultimates have naturally a high win rate because they're just easier to play. So the average person will perform better on this champion. Doesn't mean that they are the best champion if you're just looking at win rates on the Chinese. What's the thing again? So this is the website, lolmqq, and here you can see Diamond Plus win rates, Master or above, King or Top Canyon. So Twitch, Teemo and Cannon have really high win rate from Baron lane, and Cannon actually he's popping. Even here in the mid lane, highest win rate. But if you look like this is Master and above, still Cannon high win rate. What's happening? And here, King is Grandmaster. Teemo. Wait, the last time I looked, Teemo was like not even within top 10. Okay, top of Canyon. Now Tierlist Baron lane. Okay, I think there are not enough Baron. I don't think there are enough challenger players. Let's look at Master Plus. I think that's a pretty good indicator. Teemo and Cannon. But if you look like usually very hard to play champions don't have that good win rates. Jay's only 47%, Akali 48%. I mean, Akali and Jay's are, I wouldn't say they're that easy to play. Even Marshvll is not even 50%. Gwen, Caitlyn, oh, who's playing Caitlyn Baron lane? Disgusting. You know, I didn't put ADCs on purpose in Baron lane because I don't want to see Baron laners. ADC Baron laners, disgusting. You disgusting piglets. Interesting. I remember the last time I saw it, like, when I made the Teemo video and I checked for Master Plus, Teemo didn't have good win rate in Master Plus. But even here now, if you look Grandmaster, it's 58 now. How? How? Even Kale. I didn't put K because I don't like K. K players are always inters, but I get why. Because a lot of times games go into late game and Kale is almost an out win in late game, that's why. Let's look Grandmaster. Is this just Grandmaster and above? Or just Grandmaster? 67% Nautilus? Appearance rate 2%, ban rate. This doesn't make it. Challenger is Nautilus top 1? Oh, wait. That's so funny. Already at 63%. You know, I think this is like a very small sample pool in Challenger. That's the only explanation. So I think Master and above is more accurate. Appearance rate. I mean, you can always check the appearance rate as well. Because if it has really high appearance rate, usually the win rates are therefore not as high because there are too many inters on top of that. Like for example, Rammus players in the jungle usually have really high win rate, yeah, but they have really low appearance rate because you only pick that champion as a counter most of the times. So if you look like, for example, for like a really high appearance rate, 11% Master here, only 50% win rate. 16% appearance rate, Leeson. Like, look, I put these champions in S+, but they have the lowest win rate. Do you guys get? Win rates are not necessarily transitioning into, wow, this is This is the... Okay, according to the tier list, these two are the worst. If I was just basing it on win rates. You guys are wondering why don't base it necessarily on win rates. Okay, where was I? Swain. Swain, I think he is too scaling, but he provides a lot of crowd control. Yeah, a lot of crowd control and damage in late game. Grace, a very scaling champion as well. Honestly, with his large charge plate getting better. The outside there was like an alarm right now. Okay, anyways. Grace to scaling in my opinion. Singe very weak in the early game, very scaling, but the potential that he has when he gets like a few items is insane. His playmaking potential, his catch potential, the damage and the tankiness that he has is so good. Nasus, true scaling, very weak in the early game, needs so much time to stack up and be useful. Tryndamere, I think in the 1v1 he's not too bad, but he's also a very scaling champion. People sleep on Tryndamere. I could also put him 8 here, not gonna lie. This champion is very underrated. He's very underrated champion. But he does have a lot of bad matchups. There are a lot of champions that are beating up Tryndamere. Now we have Kayle. Kayle is a champion that is insane. The most scaling champion in the game. The most scaling champion in the game while being the weakest champion in the early game. And being the most vulnerable champion as well. While playing her in the Baron lane, you are in for a treat. You're getting spanked left and right. And if you're into it, play Kayle, but otherwise, if you don't feel like going 0-5 every game, getting punished until you get like into late game and you're getting useful, don't play Kayle. But I get why she has a good win rate. Because solo queue equals Clown Fiesta. You start 0-5, you make it into 20-minute late game, you still might be able to carry the game. That's Kayle. That's Kayle factor. Okay, let's move on to jungle, guys. So for jungle, the pick of the patch is still gonna be my little buck. It's gonna be Kha'Zix. That champion has everything you want in the jungler. Really good jungle clear speed, really good objective control, insane ganks, stealth, reset mechanic, burst damage, you name it. Kayn. Blue Kayn is... If you reach Blue Kayn early on, like let's say within the first few minutes, against ranged champions, he is probably one of the most disgusting champions to play against. If you play a ranged champion or a squishy champion against a Blue Kayn that is getting fed. But Kayn has kinda an inconsistency issue that sometimes the team comp is not good for him to get blue stacks on, or the enemies are playing very safe. Or you're just getting it too late. Or they have a lot of crowd control. That's why he is S+, but he can also flop sometimes. Obviously you can also play him Red Kayn against tanky champions. Now we have Lee Sin. High mobility burst assassin. Just ganking left and right. Like his invade and his ganking pressure from the start is unrivaled pretty much. No, I don't think anyone else rivals his ganking potential. Like Lee Sin has the most potent ganking potential starting level 2 already. No one else has this insane level of pressure. I mean, you could argue like Evelynn gets level 5 really quick, or Jarvan with the spam ganking, but Lee Sin, level 2, level 3, he can start invading, he can start spam ganking left and right. No one rivals Lee Sin in the ganking category. Evelynn though, this lovely lady is one of the... Wait, did I have Twitch? Is one of the most disgusting stealth champions in the game. First of all, her jungle clear speed is nuts. She gets level 5, almost the quickest. She has one of the fastest jungle clear speeds in the game. And then she has stealth and she just can farm little Timmys, ganking them left and right, farming them, getting fed, and then she one-shots the entire map. Diana, high mobility, burst assassin, a mage with an insane ultimate in team fights. Gragas, a really good poking damage, really good burst damage, and also really good playmaking potential. Aatrox, I already explained it earlier. This guy has A, way too much damage, B, is too tanky, and C, he has too much crowd control, and D, too much sustain. S plus tier. I got traumatized the other day. I got traumatized by Duskblade Trinity Aatrox. Even going full burst, full damage here, I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized by Aatrox players. If Aatrox gets fed, like, he's unkillable while doing too much damage. He feels tanky even though he's not even building tanky. That's the insane part. Next one, Zyra. Trust me, if you guys might think, Darkbreaker, how do you know? I played her in a PvP game already on the test server. Jungle clear speed, first clear, not bad. Because she can use first ability and third ability to spawn plants. She can tank for the plants, and after she gets one item, her jungle clear becomes faster and faster and faster. She has so much crowd control. She is very similar to Morgana, but she has more crowd control and more damage. Morgana has the advantage that she has better long range poke, better kite ability. No, actually not better kite ability, but better long range poke. Better jungle clear speed. But Zyra will be really good jungler, 100%. Like, I will put my hand into the fire before you guys are memeing me in the comments. How do you know? Blah, blah, blah. I know it better than you guys. Zyra jungle will be viable. That's the funny part. It's the same like Twitch jungle or Nila jungle. Did people expect that? I called Nila jungle first. Watch the tier list when Nila came out. I called Nila jungle way before anyone abused her. Way before she got buffed or nerfed. No, she got nerfed. Like, way before that, I called Nila jungle would be viable, but people never listen to my intuition. And I'm gonna tell you guys, Zyra will be viable in the jungle. For now, I put the S tier. Obviously, it could go up and down depending on what Dryden's gonna do. Maybe they're gonna buff her, maybe they're gonna nerf her. But I think she's gonna be a solid S tier, just because her ganking potential is actually very lethal. With the third ability is a root, second ability is a slow, and ultimate is knock up. So she has so much crowd control, and you have someone else who can set up for you. Like, let's say Alistair jumps in. You use your third ability, you use your second ability, you use your ultimate. Her team fighting is excellent as well. A really good kiting potential, and just so good in team fights. Yone. Yeah, his first jungle clear speed is horrendous. It was always the same. His first jungle clear speed is painful. It's really painful, but he's one of the best late game champions in the game. And they buffed Solari Charge Blade, and they buffed the second ability. So yes, they hurt us jungle clear speed, but it's still fine. Once you have your first item, let's say you have Berserker's Grease and Blade of the Rune King, your jungle clear speed doesn't matter then. But beforehand, it's super painful. It's very painful, but he's still one of the best late game champions in the game. Then we have Sincha with massive buffs on the second ability and onto the third ability. He was S tier. He's not gonna get better than S tier. I don't think they need to buff him beyond imagination for me to put him S plus tier. There's no way otherwise. But yeah, he's a tanky champion that has a lot of damage. Super consistent and solid. But he just doesn't excel into like being a hyper carry, like 1 versus 9 hyper carry. For that, if you have Inters, it's too hard for him to carry on his own. But if you have like decent, like 1 or 2 decent teammates, Sinchao is a very, very solid pick. Jarvan, really good ganking pressure, in my opinion. Starting level 2 already, really good ganking pressure. You can play him full lethality, one-shotting people, or as a team-based champion going tanky. He provides a lot of crowd control and initiation potential. God, is it hard to pronounce. Okay, next one is gonna be Vi. Vi has one of the best jungle clear speeds in the game. She can hit level 5 very quickly to reach the ultimate. Ultimate, obviously, really good tool for ganking and first ability as well. Super solid bruiser overall. There is also very solid bruiser, really good jungle clear speed, decent ganks with the upper hand, and then obviously good sustain thanks to the first ability and the ultimate reset mechanic. Wukong, good ganks with the second ability and the third ability, with the stealth, with the dash, and then the ultimate in team fights. Shyvana S tier, Late game monster, needs to focus on farming, but her jungle clear speed is good. And then her 1 vs 9 potential is also excellent once she gets like a few items and she's getting her stacks up. Riven! Ha! High mobility, high burst damage. Boom! We got this. Next one, Jace. Jace, really strong in the early game, really good damage, really good poking damage as well. That's why S tier. He's just super strong in the early game. What can I say? Next one, Irelia. Irelia also very strong assassin in the game right now. When she's snowballing, she has a lot of sustain and really good burst damage as well. Shen as a jungler is really good because of his counter ganking potential, using the ultimate to join every single gank that the opponent is doing. On top of that, his ganking potential himself, using the third ability, the taunt, is also fine, and jungle clear speed is okay. Pantheon, super strong in the early game, really good at snowballing the game, and his one-shot potential is nuts, but late game he falls off. I don't think he has like the godly 1 vs 9 hyper carry potential, but he's still really good when he's snowballing. Fiddlesticks, 1 good ultimate and you can carry teamfights on your own. I guess that's it. Echo, dogshit jungle clear, but late game monster. Dude, wait a second, my nose. Where was I? Echo, early game jungle clear speed, dogshit. Late game, god. Gwen, got buffed, is better now. Early game jungle clear speed, dog shit, dog, big dog shit, big dog shit. But late game she is a hyper carry 1 vs 9 machine. No, for Fist, I think they nerfed the third ability, right? Damage to monsters getting nerfed. Is that the third ability? Sea Stone Trident. Oh my god, I don't remember it was. Which ability is it? Sea Stone Trident. I'm an Inter. No. Oh, it's the second ability. I see. I mean, Fist jungle clear speed was always not the greatest. You know why they're doing these changes? Because these champions are really monsters in the late game. Fist starting 3 items is one-shotting the entire map. So they're nerfing, they're forcing him. I mean, obviously they want to force him to be a mid laner or like a laner instead of jungler, because most people are using Fist in the jungle, I would say. And yeah, first jungle clear speed is nerfed. It's gonna hurt him obviously, but he was always like, it's the same what they did with Yone. These champions are both very good in the late game, so they're compensating by nerfing the early game, making it harder to reach the late game. But Fist's 3 items are still too good. Hecarim, really good ganks, really good mobility, super tanky, really good crowd control, and sustain as well. Olaf, one of the best counters to tanks and against crowd control, thanks to his ultimate. Then he has a lot of sustain and true damage on top of that. The downside of Olaf is definitely him getting kited against ranged champions or high mobility champions. Lucian, Aswell, Vayne, for example. Next one is gonna be Dr. Mundo. Dr. Mundo, honestly, jungle clear speed is fine, damage is good, and he's very tanky on top of that. Volibear, super teamfight oriented champion that is very tanky and has good engages, very good engages with his ultimate. Rammus is a spam ganking machine and one of the best counters against physical damage. Nunu is also a spam ganking monster with a lot of crowd control and super tanky on top of that. Neela is one of the best hyper carries in the late game, starting 3 items. She runs down the whole map. Her early game is kinda weak, but she has really good hyper carry potential in the late game. Similar for Twitch. Twitch jungle clear speed is trash, but he has the stealth factor to cheese and gank people left and right snowballing, and in the late game he's one of the best late game champions as well still. Morgana has one of the best jungle clear speeds in the game. She has really good poking damage and kiting potential, and then she provides a lot of utility in teamfights. Camille's first jungle clear speed is horrendous, but she has high mobility and the ultimate is a guaranteed kill pretty much. And then late game she's also good once she gets to scale. Master Yi got buffed, but the issue about this champion is still his inconsistency, and therefore he is A tier. But if he's snowballing, he is really, really good. Rengar, in my opinion, also suffers from the same problems, that he's a very snowball reliant champion that is inconsistent. But his one-shot potential is crazy. Then we have Urgot. Urgot, really good early game jungle clear speed, really good ganks, tanky, good initiations. But yeah, that's about it. Pyke, bad jungle clear speed, but really good ganking potential to snowball the game. Kayle, one of the best late game champions. In the jungle, she's allowed to farm up better or easier in comparison to a lane. Then we have Fiora, a very strong, excellent duelist and skirmisher in the early game, but she wants to snowball from the get-go, but she sucks in teamfights. Or I wouldn't say suck, but she is very hard to play in a teamfight where opponents have a lot of crowd control or high mobility. It's so hard to make her work. Yasuo, if you play him in the jungle, I think the problem about him is A, he's very scaling, and B, he needs the right team setup. Nautilus, AP or tank, provides really good crowd control in teamfights. You could argue that I should put Nautilus S tier, I'm not gonna lie. He's really good, honestly. Maybe I should put him because he has the highest win rate in Master Plus right now. I got influenced by the win rates as well now, chat. I got influenced. I mean, I used to put him S tier, but they nerfed him a lot. They did buff him though. They buffed the second ability. They buffed him. We're gonna put him S tier now. Oh my god. I mean, his jungle clear speed is good. He has really good ganks and crowd control. What can I say? He's fine. But I feel like with tanks, the problem is always he doesn't have like... He provides a lot of utility, crowd control, etc. But he doesn't have like the carry potential on his own. If your teammates are shit, if your damage dealers are shit, you will never win on Nautilus. Never. Like, let's say your ADC is 0-10. Do you think you will ever win on Nautilus with a 0-10 ADC? No. But if you're Kha'Zix, Diana, one of those S+ tier champions, if your ADC is 0-10, you can still carry the game. You can't do this on Nautilus. That's why I'm rating tanks. Tanks can't be S+ unless they have like... Unless they do like a lot of damage even though they are tanks, something like that. I don't know. I feel like tanks, they suffer from ADCs being shit. But if your ADC is good, Nautilus is obviously making the team comp every time better than having no tank. Obviously, or having no initiator. Zed. I think Zed is very snowball reliant, but he's not the typical jungler, but I feel like he's definitely playable and has decent ganks for sure. But very snowball reliant. Lilia, I think she's too slow pace in terms of like her scaling. She needs to focus on power farming for a long time before she gets useful. But obviously she has decent damage and her utility in team fights with the ultimate are good. Jax, too scaling, bad jungle clear speed, late game good. Tryndamere, way too scaling, not good jungle clear speed. That's why B tier. Warwick. Honestly, I've never seen a single good Warwick jungle, so I honestly can't tell. His ganks are not bad. His ganks are good when he gets movement speed and the ultimate. But using him proficient in team fight is hard. Yes, if you're snowballing, he can be fine. But let's say you're in a situation, your ADC is 0-10. What will you ever do as a Warwick to carry the game? Like, what can you do in teamfights? What can you do? You can't do shit. That's why I don't like this champion. Anyways, let's move on to mid lane. Dude, we're talking long, by the way, today. Okay, guys, let's continue with pick of the patch. Pick of the patch, obviously, I have to put the new champion, Zyra. This champion has so much crowd control. The second ability slows the opponents down. The third ability roots the opponents, and then the ultimate knocks people up. So she provides so much crowd control in team fights. On top of that, she has really good damage, and they reworked her passive that when you use the first ability and you use the third ability, she's spawning plants and they are doing decent amount of damage onto the opponents. So obviously I had to put their pick of the patch because I need to highlight the new champion. But if I had to choose who's the most broken, honestly, zyra is definitely S+ here. But it's gonna be a debate between like Vladimir. Vladimir is OP as fuck. Do I put him pick of the patch? Because I mean, pick of the patch is kind of highlight. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. But yeah, zyra is S+ here. Now Vladimir is a late game monster. Too much sustain, too much damage. Ari has really good playmaking potential with a charm and high mobility, so she's a really good assassin. Akali is one of the strongest assassins in the game, really good burst damage and stealth, really good in team fights. Diana, high mobility, high burst damage, excellent in team fights. Lux, this champion has really good poke damage and super good utility on top of that. Then we have Yasuo. Tank Yasuo is really good, he does a lot of damage. He is super beefy and he provides a lot of crowd control because he can permanently use tornadoes. Then we have Kassadin. Kassadin, a late game monster, really good mobility and really good burst damage. Aurelia, after the recent buffs, she became really strong. Since in the mid lane she has way better matchups to beat those squishy champions up. She has good mobility, good burst damage, and really good snowballing potential, and is also good in team fights. Now we have Corki. Corki is a poking monster, and with the package insane in team fights. Zed is a high mobility burst assassin, a really good playmaking potential as well. Yone getting better in the lane after receiving a buff on the base stat and onto the second ability plus the buff to Large Charge Blade. He's one of the strongest late game champions based on his damage and based on his playmaking potential. Katarina, one reset and she wipes the entire team. Pyke has excellent playmaking potential thanks to his mobility, thanks to his hook, and then also he has the ultimate reset mechanic. Annie, excellent playmaking thanks to her ultimate, really good burst damage, and she's just super good in team fights. Karma provides good utility, good poking damage, has an excellent ultimate. Akshan, really good at roaming and ganking in the early game, and in the laning phase, he's super dominant. Gragas, good poking damage, good playmaking potential. Then we have Vex. Vex is an assassin with a reset mechanic, then she has the fear mechanic as well, and she can poke from far away or she can also jump in. Jace is a really strong poking champion. Teemo, Guerrilla Teemo. This champion has really good burst damage, and then setting up the shrooms from the river in the brushes, etc. is really good to control the map. Zoe is a champion that has excellent poking damage. Galio, this champion provides a lot of utility, has really good poking damage, has the global ultimate, has a taunt, has a knock-up. Cannon, ultimate. I already explained Cannon earlier on. Veigar, very scaling, but provides a lot of utility / crowd control with the event horizon, and it's a late game scaling monster that has really good burst damage. Twisted Fate has good utility thanks to the gold card, and then also the ultimate to rotate on the map and control the map and pressure around the map. Then we have Lucian. Lucian is pretty strong across every stage of the game, especially in the early game. He's really dominant, so he has very high mobility and really good burst damage. Next one, Orianna and Ziggs. They are both strong poking utility mages, especially in team fights. Swain kind of scaling, but in the mid lane he has better matchups. He provides a lot of crowd control and he becomes very tanky in the late game. Garen, great choice against melee champions. He's a good tank if you guys need a tank or attack damage in the mid lane. Now we have Brand. Brand is a good poking champion with really good burst damage, but he lacks kind of the mobility to rotate in the mid lane, and it's easier to kill him than other champions. Echo, I think he suffers from being too scaling in the early game, and he gets poked out by a lot of champions. Morgana's wave clear in the early game is bad, but she has really good poking damage and utility in team fights. Aurelian Soul has excellent team fighting potential and his roams are really good, but he's hard to play and his early game is not that strong. Pantheon on the other hand, obviously he's a very strong champion that wants to snowball and wants to get early kills. Then he can use the ultimate to snowball left and right, top lane, ganking top lane or bot lane with his ultimate. Riven can be a good choice to counter some melee champions because of her mobility and her burst damage, since she is really good in the 1v1, and then from there on she can snowball and rotate on the map. Singed, what makes him good is you just push out the mid lane and then you're just ganking left and right. And he has really good playmaking potential and scales really good into the late game. Lilia to scaling in my opinion. Sona's early game and mana issues are horrendous. I think she runs out of mana too quick, even if you're running like Boots of Mana. Like just rotating between one skill rotation to get the passive, then she's squishy, she can't roam, she doesn't do damage in the early game, she's just too easy to punish. Like, imagine you're playing Pantheon, like you play Sona and you're against Zed, Pantheon, Aurelia, Jace, Ahri, Akali, Diana. What do you wanna do even? What do you even wanna do? You can't do shit. She can't roam, she's too squishy, she's too vulnerable. That's why I have like Sona and Seraphim beat here. Like same problems. But Sona's ultimate is great though. What can I say? Good ultimate now. So in teamfights, she can use a nice ultimate. Same for Seraphine. Seraphine's ultimate in teamfights are also good. Kayle, better chance to scale in the mid lane. She doesn't get punished as hard. And late game, obviously, she's a monster. That's commit for the mid lane. Let's go. Let's move on to ADCs. So for ADC's pick of the patch, they nerfed Zyra, and I only wanted to highlight Zyra because she was the new champion in the last tier list, but I still have the opinion that Kai'Sa is the best ADC. To be fair, Zyra's win rate is the highest right now. I guess because of the ultimate. The ultimate is just too good in teamfights. But I do like Kai'Sa as the solo hyper carry. Kai'Sa is just a monster hyper carry, what can I say? Zyra's ultimate is broken. Varus got a massive buff on the first and the second ability. His poking damage is nuts. Ezreal is really scaling, but he has a lot of mobility and very, very good poking damage. Tristana, you would think for a late game monster her early game would be bad, but her early game is still pretty decent. And she's one of the best late game hyper carry monsters in the game. Jhin, excellent early game, a really good burst damage, and his one-shot potential even in the late game is fine. Lucian, high mobility burst damage, crit monster. Caitlyn has the biggest range in the early game. I hear an alarm again outside, what the fuck? Caitlyn, very consistent champion, one of the strongest lane bullies in the game. Corki, this champion, really good poking damage, and then the package in teamfights is insane. Samira and Neela are great teamfight based champions that have tons of sustain. And Samira has the reset mechanic, while Neela just has so much sustain and shielding, and her ultimate in teamfights is nuts, and then her damages are really good as well. But she kind of needs the right setup. She needs like a champion that can initiate for them. Zyra, very safe champion, good damage, good self-peel. Draven, one of the best early game ADCs in the game. And when he snowballs, he becomes a monster. The other day I got shitted on by a Draven. My ADC had 5,000 gold. Enemy Draven, 10,000 gold. So Draven, his snowballing potential is through the roof. He does a lot of damage. Like, one axe does like 50% when he's fed. Misfortune, very strong lane dominant champion and great ultimate in teamfights. I am not even sure why I put this kind of clickbait, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. They buffed Ash so much, he is S tier now. I don't even know. I'm leaning more towards A tier, but if you got buffed, guys, for the clickbait. And you can summarize really quick. First ability, attack speed increase 5% per level. The flurry damage Attack damage ratio increased by 5%. That's so broken, guys. That's why she's S tier. Oh my god. But yeah, her ultimate is obviously very good as a playmaking tool. I always felt like other ADCs are out damaging her in the late game. But if you think about it, which ADC has such a significant ultimate to just out-win teamfights? If you catch someone with your ultimate, it's GG easy. You got to pick off and then you win the next teamfight. I make it easy. No, look at this. Twitch, Jinx, Vayne, and Zeri. These champions are late game monsters, especially with a nice enchanter like a Lulu. Call your eagle, get the Lulu, get the Yumi, maybe get the Nami, that's also fine. Late game monsters, but early game dog shit. Boom! Summarized. Black magic. Anyways, Orianna, Lux, and Ziggs are really good poking mages if you have like a Zed in the mid lane and you guys need some more AP damage in the bot lane. So can be good, but you kind of need a tank, best case, so you have like maybe 2 poking champions, then you have 2 tanks, and then you have a really nice team comp. Next one is gonna be Senna. Senna as ADC, I don't like it. I don't like her as ADC. 2 scaling, no damage. That's it. And can't stack the souls as fast as on support, for example. Let's move on to support. So for support, pick up the patch, obviously Yumi. This cat is still beyond broken. I don't need to explain this. Same for Lulu. If I'm banning, like, do you know which champions I always ban? I always ban Yumi, I always ban Lulu, and I always ban Lee Sin. These are my top 3 champions I always ban. And even Soraka is a champion I like to ban a lot. Because Soraka, too much healing. What can I say? Way too much healing. Pyke, also disgusting champion. Roaming, playmaking potential, spam ganking, insane. Lux, shielding, damage, root, very annoying. Rash, this champion has really good playmaking potential with his hook. Then he has the fling, he has the ultimate to zone people, and he has the lantern to save people. Now for the tank category. We have Alistar with the AoE knockup, the ultimate that gives him damage reduction. We have Rakan with AoE knockup plus taunt, and he can do those playmaking engages super quickly and cover a lot of distance. Nautilus, hook, shield, root, ultimate to knock someone up and catch that person. Galio, knockup, global ultimate, taunt as well. Gragas has third ability for knockback, ultimate to catch people off guard or push them away, and decent poking damage with the first ability. And second ability gives some damage reduction on top of that. Then we have Leona with a single target stun. She can cover distance with her third ability. Her second ability gives her resistance and her ultimate to stun multiple people at once. Braum is also really good. Against poking champions, especially thanks to shielding. Then he has a single target stun plus the ultimate for disengage and initiation. Karma, she has really good utility, poking damage, shielding, mobility. Ultimate is insane in teamfights as well. And for Nami, she is an excellent enchanting peeler with good playmaking potential. She can heal people, give them attack speed, the bubble to knock people up, and the ultimate to disengage or engage, knocking people up. Sona's rework. I feel like it's kind of mixed opinions. Sona got reworked and her ultimate is differently now, and they also changed her passive. So her passive allows her, after using 3 abilities, to stun people, and the aura effect is kind of guaranteed that you can't choose because everyone is just every ability is going to give you the aura no matter what. But it's not as potent as beforehand, where on the second ability you had the mini exhaust, and on the third ability aura you had like the slow reduction. People are complaining about the lack of skill expression, but Sona should be easier to play. Ultimate is way better, and now she's just spam abilities champion. Beforehand she was already kind of spam ability champion, but now even worse. Her early game opinion is pretty damn weak though, but her ultimate in teamfights is really good. So we have to see more. But I feel like her early game is really weak though. Now for Zyra. I think Zyra is similar to Morgana. She has more crowd control than Morgana, but she doesn't have the same range as Morgana, I would say. Actually, the third ability has insane range. I was thinking about putting Zyra maybe even S tier, by the way. For the clickbait, guys. The thing is, I haven't played Zyra support. I've played Zyra mid lane and I've played Zyra jungle, but I haven't played Zyra support, so I cannot tell. I feel like her early game is not that strong, and she needs like a tanky bruiser top lane or tanky jungler. Like, let's say in combination with a Nunu or something. Like, you play with Nunu, Rammus, like a Jarvan, Wukong or something. Yeah, you're CC City in the town. Like, you can't move. I think Zyra provides so much utility and she has decent damage, so for sure she can work as a support fine. I'm just debating between S or A tier. Morgana, good poking damage, good utility, but weak in the early game. Ashe, really good utility, good playing making potential with the ultimate. Senna, as a support, provides a lot of utility and really good second carry, but you need to pick her into the right team comp. Janna, still a decent enchanter, has decent playmaking potential with the tornado, and obviously she can save people with the ultimate and shield them. But she just isn't as good as beforehand. Set, good playmaking potential with the third ability and with the ultimate, and is overall pretty tanky. Then we have Shen, very item reliant, same as Set, but yeah, kinda cheesy. Maybe you get the nice taunt, you have the ultimate as well. Swain has good crowd control, but to scaling, very weak in the early game. Blitzcrank is pretty inconsistent in my opinion, but if you are very good at hooking the right target, then he can definitely work. Seraphine is too weak in the early game, but her ultimate is great in teamfights. Ornn is very item reliant, but he provides really good crowd control as well. But yeah, that's great for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, for this tier list, we have Zyra coming out very soon. She is really good in the mid lane, jungle and support. On top of that, we have the Sona rework, and if you guys like this, then definitely stay tuned. That's the intro. I just did the intro right now. Okay, see you guys next time. Tell me your opinion about the tier list and what you guys think. How do you guys feel about the changes they did? How do you guys feel about Sona rework? How do you guys feel about the Zyra release? You guys can definitely check out the full gameplay where I played Zyra mid lane, and also for Zyra jungle there will be a video. And I see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.